wrestling fans, and welcome to the most important night in the history of our sport, the Party of One annual WrestleMania Spectacular. I am your host, as always, Jeff Stormer, coming to you live from the greatest city on earth, the hosting place for this year's WrestleMania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Wrestling fans, I am so excited to be sitting down with my dear friend Taylor LaBreche for a playthrough of his game, There is a Treasure at the End of This Dungeon, and we will never escape this dungeon, or, as it is known today, there is a championship match at the end of this Royal Rumble, and we will never win this Royal Rumble. There's a treasure at the end of this dungeon, and we will never escape this dungeon. Is this sort of beautiful, tragic, surreal dungeon-crawling game about being trapped in an ever-repeating, ever-expanding dungeon and dying every time you enter into a new room, about this endless cycle of death, struggle, and rebirth. And of course, we have reflavored this to be about my favorite wrestling match in the world, the Royal Rumble. This game is so cool. It is so sick. I really loved it. I love playing it. I love the story that we got to tell. I think you're going to have a big kick out of listening to it. You can find more information about There is a Treasure at the End of This Dungeon, and we will never escape this dungeon in the show notes. And with all that said, wrestling fans, let's start over to Past Me at ringside so that he can kick off the evening's festivities. Take it, Past Me.
Thanks, future me. Excited's not the right word. Gleeful is the word that I would use. I am gleeful today because I am sitting down with one of my dearest friends in the world, Taylor LaBreche. Taylor, thank you so much for coming back on Party of One.
Absolutely, future Jeff. I love being here. I love hanging out. I love listening to Party of One. I love being on Party of One. And then also, just because I know people are listening to this who are game designers, I love the experience that Party of One has given to open my eyes about the art of role-playing games, especially the games that I've written. The games that I've played on Party of One, I always leave with a changed perception of them, and that perception is always magnitudes higher than when I came into the show. So I'm very excited to be here today.
What a fucking note to start off on. God, now I truly now feel like I could rip a phone book in half,
right?
Which is a good feeling.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. All right. So we are going to play a game today. I have two very important questions for you.
Perfect.
The first question is, of course, talk to us about what we are playing this week, as well as anything you want the audience to know about.
Yeah. So we are playing a game of mine that I've never played before, not even in playtesting, because I didn't really know how it worked until I think maybe today. It's called The Treasure at the End of This Dungeon is an escape from this dungeon, and we will never escape from this dungeon. But we're going to be doing it in a little bit of a fun way because, Jeff, this is a WrestleMania episode, right?
This is a WrestleMania episode, which is the second question that I have for you, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. I think I know what question that is. So we're going to be doing treasure dungeon, etc., which, folks, if you're listening, I can say that. You have to use the full title. So we're going to be playing Treasure Dungeon, etc., as wrestlers, which, if you back the Kickstarter for Treasure Dungeon, etc., there are a couple of fun extra rules in there for doing this. So that's the game that we're going to be playing today. What I would like listeners to know about at home, this is specific to United States listeners. I would like you to pull up whatever search engine you are most adept with, and I would like you to search Superfund, that's one word, SUPERFUND, Superfund sites near me. And I would like you to search that, and I would like you to find the closest United States Superfund site to where you live. And then, once you've finished reading all of the horrible details about how giant corporations have poisoned the literal ground that you live on, I would like you to contact your city representatives and ask them to dedicate additional funding to those Superfund sites, or push for more federal funding to go to those Superfund sites. And because the power of mystery is compelling, I'm not going to tell you what a Superfund site is. You are going to have the context from my short little speech here, and that is going to inspire you, hopefully, to actually carry out this search and actually do those actionable steps. And that is a very tangible way that you listening to this show, can make a positive difference in your immediate community.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Oh, yeah, hell, fuck yeah. Good. I am glad for this. My second question for you, what's there to say? I guess it's, I lied when I said it was one question.
Yeah.
Swerve, it's two questions. Taylor, what rules about professional wrestling?
What rules about professional wrestling?
What rules about wrestling?
How much time do we have? Oh my god. I am going to say that the thing that I'm going to choose to talk about right now, because there are a million things that I could talk about that rule about professional wrestling, and it kind of bounces off what I was just talking about with the call to action there, is the love and community energy that comes with local wrestling. I knew that this was going to be coming up this morning, and I am wearing... My entire outfit is local wrestling merch and like community merch from sick artists. I love Badger Briggs is my favorite wrestler. They are a non-binary wrestler from the Twin Cities of Minnesota. They're on Twitter at Snurk. That's SN. And if you just start typing like 4 or 5 R's and then K, you will find them. And I've got incredible sweatpants from Heel Turn Productions, which is an independent clothing design brand that does primarily wrestling themed shit. Super, super awesome. The guy who runs it, Riggs, is incredible, nice guy. And just like knowing the friends and the energy and the entertainment and the soul healing that comes from watching wrestling in a room with like 30 people.
It's magical. Like
Yeah.
there is a magic that cannot be captured. I'm not sure anywhere else in this world from being in a room with 30 people and experiencing a piece of art that may never be seen again, and like feeling that, and feel like in wrestling in particular, there's the nature of it as a little bit performative by the audience, and like an art form that invites you to feel the emotion of the performance and be part of that performance. Like doing that with 30 people, several of whom might actually just be the wrestlers because they don't have enough dressing room space, and like sharing in that energy it is genuine magic. It is genuine magic that exists in this world, is that we are all going to participate in this LARP art form, hootenanny hybrid, that maybe for this small group of people that, even though there are only 30 of us, we largely don't know each other and will never speak again.
Yeah.
We're all going to have this moment at this one time is like a profound piece of magic.
Yeah. Jeff, can I tell you about my favorite wrestling match that I think I've ever seen in person?
Yes.
It happened last winter. And it was a Time Bomb show, or Time Bomb Pro show. So Time Bomb Pro is a wrestling production out of Fargo, North Dakota. They've occasionally come into Minneapolis. And when they do, they put on just like it's the most. And they had Filthy Tom Lawler take on our local champ, whose name is just Jordan. He's just a guy. He's from Minneapolis. Sure. You know him. You love him. He's just Jordan. And the match that they put on was a clinic in how you put over your local guy. Because Jordan is like, if you're from Minneapolis, Jordan is the hardest motherfucker you will ever see in that ring. And when he came out after Tom and the crowd just like shaking this building, they performed in a building called the Glass House, which is like normally a bar or brewery. And it's called the Glass House because all the walls are just like floor to ceiling glass, and it looks out over the city skyline of Minneapolis. Beautiful, beautiful venue. The glass is shaking. as the crowd is cheering for Jordan as he's coming out. And he does his ring. He like does all of his pageantry and showboating. He's great. He's got his mouth guard in. He puts his punching gloves on. He gives Tom a chop to the chest that like sends Tom back a couple of steps. And then Tom, close-fisted, clocks Jordan in the jaw and drops him in the crowd, who has to push him back up. Everyone goes silent. We've all just been checked. For the next 45 minutes, they tour the full building, the full outdoor patio, fighting in the Minneapolis cold, their breath fogging up, their sweat steaming off of their shoulders. It's nighttime. The stars are out. You can see the city skyline from the building. They've opened up. It used to be a car mechanics shop. So they have one of those accordion doors, the roll-up doors. They've opened that up, and the whole crowd is spilled outside.
Fuck.
And Tom is just beating the shit out of Jordan this entire time. Jordan's getting, he's getting good moves in. They go outside, the huge Minneapolis moment, and that's when the momentum shifts. And they're out on the grass. It's a dirty fight. Jordan finally gets the momentum and gets away, peels away from Tom's offense. He runs into the back, and he comes out on a scissor lift. And he pulls this scissor lift into this old car mechanic hangar. Doors open, cold, freezing air is pulling inside. Everyone's breath is freezing. He's steaming. All the lights are on him. And he jumps out just with a simple frog splash that puts Tom out, and he gets the pin and wins.
That's amazing. All right, so we're ready to play.
Yeah.
We're ready for the game. I'm in. I'm now fully locked in. There's nothing that I can add that can. I had a second question about the fact that this is airing during WrestleMania week and the shows that we were doing. Fuck it. We're not talking about that right now. I'm too excited to play. I'm too excited about the game. I'm casting my question aside, and we are diving into the game. And so, Taylor, I'm going to hand over the reins to you.
Hell yeah.
Let us engage in a Royal Rumble that is going to lead to a championship match, and we are never going to win this Royal Rumble.
Yes. So this is a game we have to do a little bit of setup. So with that beat in your heart, I would love for you to. I sent you a link to a Google Doc that has a couple of documents in it. Otherwise, I can also just share my screen in Discord.
I've got it open in front of me.
Sick. So open just the base game, and what we're going to be doing is, first, we are going to be choosing selves. This is going to be who we are. For wrestling, we're going to be thinking of these not necessarily as selves, but these are gimmicks. These are the things that we've put on. There are 4 selves and 5 rooms. So the way that we're going to kind of work this is there are going to be 4 gimmicks that we can choose from. And then instead of a room, I'd like to have someone running out, or maybe this is a story beat leading up to WrestleMania. We're going to be telling the story of a tag team competing to get a shot at the World Championship tag belts, which are being held by a team of unscrupulous characters that will be made of the other selves that we've not chosen.
So I immediately had a pitch that I wanted to throw you as I was thinking about the atmosphere and the vibe of the game.
Yeah.
Because you had originally, the title that you threw me originally was the title shot at the end of this Royal Rumble is for the World Heavyweight Championship, and we will never win the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I've been locked in on Royal Rumble, which is my favorite match type in the world. It is my favorite individual match in the world.
Ooh, yes. Okay.
It is impossible not to be hyped watching a Royal Rumble. It is impossible. It is the single best way to, aside from bringing someone to a local wrestling show and having them experience the magic with 30 other people.
Yeah.
I truly believe that a Royal Rumble is the single best way to show someone who does not know or understand wrestling the idea of wrestling. I have specifically used it to bring several people into professional wrestling because it rules. As a concept, it's great. For the listener at home, a Royal Rumble, there are two people in the ring. They are fighting. Your goal can be to make them pin or submit if that is a rule allowed. Traditionally, the only way to eliminate someone from Royal Rumble is to physically throw them over the top rope and for them to land with both feet. That is a key phrase on the floor below. That is it. You are just trying to throw your opponent over the top rope so that both feet land on the floor. Every 90 seconds, another wrestler comes out. And as long as no one has been eliminated, more and more people continue enter into the ring.
Mm-hmm.
This has all of the things that are great in professional wrestling. Every single thing about this is phenomenal. You get a bunch of like surprise reveals of like, oh my God, 90 seconds, a big buzzer goes off and there's another guy. That person shows up and immediately establishes their gimmick in 30 seconds. So you can go, oh, this person's a demon. This person's a weird fucked up guy.
Yeah.
This person's a rock star. I'm on board. I get their deal. Suddenly you see storylines pop up of like, oh, these two people hate each other. That guy ran straight after this guy. These two are shaking hands and are wearing the same outfit. They must be on a team together. You get all of the bits and pieces of wrestling tied into the Royal Rumble. And then you watch people get thrown over the top rope and land on the floor, which is viscerally a painful thing to see, no matter how safe they can make that landing. It looks like it is a nightmare to see it every single time. And then you get to the secret magic moment, which is when someone has been thrown over that rope and they either hold on to the rope or one foot hits the floor, or in Kofi Kingston's case, they land in an improbable position. Like that moment when you're like, you get the immediate drama of, well, fuck, what's gonna are they going to be able to pull themselves back up?
Mm-hmm.
Can they hold their one foot in the air? He's on a chair halfway across the room. Is he going to be able to wheel that chair back over and get back in the ring? It is all of the drama and magic of wrestling capsized into a single match, and that is why it is my favorite match type in the entire world.
Yeah.
So I wanted to propose to you. I love the idea that we are in a Rumble and that people are going to continue to come out. And what I want to propose is the most elaborate, magical version of that Royal Rumble moment.
Mm-hmm.
And like that magic in its most literal form.
Yeah.
Which is to say, like, every time a wrestler comes out, every entrance that a wrestler makes fundamentally alters the world around us in a tangible way.
Yeah.
It is not merely that when the Undertaker comes out that there's suddenly a spooky zombie wizard in the ring. It is that suddenly we have found ourselves in a place, like suddenly there is fog and there is lightning and there is magic and all of these things. Like, imagine if instead of, imagine if every wrestler had their own belonging outside belonging playbook and they were bringing different setting elements and suddenly there is magic and suddenly there is terror where there was not before because this wrestler's presence has so fundamentally altered the world around them.
Yes.
That is the energy that I want.
Love it.
Okay.
And that is genuinely true about wrestling, which is one of the things that I love about wrestling, because you can have a match like with Luchasaurus in it, who is a 65 million year old dinosaur with a master's degree in medieval history. And he can be going up against Jon Moxley, who is a guy.
Yeah.
Right. Like, the universe adapts to the stories that we tell within it.
It's great. It's what I love about wrestling is that in that moment, it's all real.
Yep.
Like, that is the magic of kayfabe, is that in that moment, yeah, that's a dinosaur. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. You're gonna, like, in that moment, Orange Cassidy's asleep. We got to deal with the fact that this man has fallen asleep, and you got to deal with that.
Right. You got to deal with it. And dealing with it is a central theme of Treasure Dungeon.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm so excited. I think I know the self that I want.
Tell me about him.
I am playing, I have popped open my essential document, the most important document that I own, which is my ongoing list of wrestler names.
Yes.
and I think I am going with Rana Rojo the Red Frog. Rana Rojo is a masked luchador in a frog mask. A very luchador-esque luchador.
Okay.
And I think I am pulling on the Self of the Thief. That feels really good. I like because the Thief is built around, there are rules to thievery. It's built around a lot of like introducing tricks, and I like the idea. I always think about like when you watch a luchador in a match and they break out something that no one has ever seen before, and that moment where everyone else in the ring just goes, I don't know what the fuck to do with that. I don't know how I'm supposed to react to that. Like when they hit a truly wild arm drag,
Yeah.
and like the person gets on their feet and there's just a moment of like, fuck, I don't know what just happened. Like that to me is the magic, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm leaning on.
The local wrestling promotion that I love with the most of my heart, First Wrestling, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, always has at least one lucha match in the show, and it's always just the most unbelievable things that you can see.
It's the best show that I saw when we went to LA for WrestleMania week last year. And the single best show I saw was Gringo Loco's World on Lucha, which was just a straightforward lucha show. And it fucking, like, the energy of that show was the most infectious of the entire week.
Mm-hmm.
It made me so happy. And so, like, that's the energy that I'm bringing to the Thief.
Yeah. Okay. Hell yeah. And I think I'm going to contrast that with the Muscle, who is just like, the first rule of the Muscle is you do not die. So, like, just an unkillable giant hunk of a person. And I'm thinking like Lance Archer kind of 7 feet tall, 300 pounds of muscle, not like bodybuilder muscle, but just like, yeah, that guy could probably fight a bear. And I think that there's probably rumors of him fighting actual animals in his backyard wrestling days. He's not proud of those rumors, but they're out there.
Have you ever seen, I have to find the exact photo. All right, here we go. I have found the photo that I would like to send you of one of the all-time great tag teams where it was just we've thrown these two guys together tag team, but the two guys they threw together are iconic, and they formed a finishing move that is the greatest finishing move I've ever seen.
Oh, beautiful.
There was like a very brief period in WWE where Paul White, the Big Show, was in a tag team with Rey Mysterio.
No.
Where the tag team was themed around, he's the Big Show, and he's the smallest guy on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
And the finishing move that they had when they were a team, and I sent you a photo that I think you will understand exactly what is about to happen from this photo. It was that Rey Mysterio would just stand on the Big Show's shoulders and then just do a splash off of the Big Show. Like, it was that he would stand there, Big Show would walk in front of the guy, and then Rey Mysterio would just drop. And that was it.
Beautiful.
That was all it needed. It worked every time, because you're like, well, he's so big, he's just gonna jump.
You're not gonna find a higher altitude anywhere in the ring than on the shoulders of Paul White.
He's the world's largest athlete. Like, you're just, and so like, it was just, that is the energy of our team, is just a very little guy and the largest man. Like, it is just the two largest the largest and the smallest people just standing next to each other going, this is it. This is all we need.
Yeah. Beautiful.
All right, great. I'm glad that we've locked in our characters. What's your character's name, and what do we got? What are we thinking for name and pronouns?
I think pronouns are he, him. And I'm feeling a little nostalgic. And I remember my grandpa telling me stories of seeing Vern Gagne actually perform, because Vern grew up in Minnesota and performed in Minnesota and was a University of Minnesota wrestler around the same kind of time that my grandpa was growing up and becoming a person. So I think Vern. Let's see. What's a good rock? A good mineral name aside from Coming Tonight, which is a real mineral name.
I was gonna throw I'm thinking Ignis. How does Vern Ignis sound?
Vern Ignis sounds very good.
Good. I like that.
Or
I like that
Ignis
energy.
Vern, I
Ignis.
think, is the
Ignis Vern is great.
It's a real like Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan situation where I think his shoot name is Vern Ignis, but I think his work name is Ignis Vern.
It's great. It hits forwards, it hits backwards. It's just good. I'm so excited. All right. So, we've got our characters. We've got ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it is time to start. Is it time to start the Rumble?
It is time to start the Rumble. We do have a couple of choices to make on ourselves. We get to choose a look, a weapon, and a power source before the game starts.
My look is jagged and jovial is very good. No, I'm gonna go with wily and weather beaten is my look. I am thinking of Rey Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
I am thinking of old luch. I love an old luchador.
Yeah.
There's something about like luchador. There's something about a Blue Demon or an LA Park who has just been doing this for so long and like is just like from an older generation, from a carnier generation, and like the sense that like I might not be as flashy as I was, but I am older than you and I am more of a carny than you. So like I'm gonna win that way is incredibly compelling to me.
Hell yeah. My look is I think I'm gonna kind of pair up along with you, and I'm large and leathery. And I think that this is like someone who just, you could tell from looking at them that they've gotten too many suntans in their life.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah, I know the vibe immediately.
Like a good Billy Gunn, like back when the Daily's Place era was still like the vibe for AEW, and he had that really slutty choker on. And so it's this like 60-year-old man with sun-bleached hair, giant muscles, and like the cuntiest little necklace that you've ever seen.
Skin that looks just a little too tight, and then a cunty necklace. It was magic. It was magical.
And we're doing wrestling rather than like fantasy. I did pick shield for my weapon because I like the idea that like he just puts his body in the way.
I like that. I really love that. I've gone with surgery for my specialty because it's not that I'm flat. Like I think at one point in my life and career it would have been acrobatics or maybe even sleight of hand.
Yeah.
But now it's that it's a little bit psychological, it's a little bit physical. I know how to get you into a pinning position.
Yeah.
Like, it's now that, like, I know how to rile you. Like, I can do just enough acrobatics to get you mad.
Yeah.
It's that I'm in your head and, like, I'm pulling, it's playing to the crowd. It's a lot of, like, I do a move and then I kind of walk around and I wave my hand to the crowd to tell them, like, you should be cheering right now. Why are you not cheering for me? And, like, I'm putting on a show just enough so that like when you start to get frustrated, that's when I can kind of like kick you in the gut and roll you up.
Yeah. And I think like because one thing that I love about wrestling is that they're not afraid of making things kind of literal at the commentary booth. And so I think if surgery is your specialty, we'll get commentators saying things like, "Oh, and we've got him on the operating table. Ronda Rousey is dissecting this man bit by bit." Kind of deal.
Yep. That's it. That's the magic. We're locked in.
Hell yeah.
I'm thinking a power source.
Yeah.
Training feels logical, but I'm gonna go with faith. Faith feels so good because like what that says to me, and like what that says to me about faith as it relates to this luchador is it's I get to bust out my favorite thing that wrestlers say and my favorite intonation. It's this
business.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only life that I know. Like I will do this forever because this is the life that I know. I know this business.
Yeah.
And that's the energy.
Fuck yeah. My training is an artifact, which will become really relevant as the muscle progresses. But I think it's like an armband. It starts as an armband, I think. And it's something that like he keeps in a pocket. There's been a long storyline. This is an armband that was given to him by his trainer, who is now, no longer in the land of the living. This trainer gave it to him in maybe the 60s, and he's been wearing it since when he was like a little kid. He caught it after a show, and he's been wearing it, and that's where all the power is. And it's kind of like a Samson and the hair thing in his storyline in this promotion, I think, where Ignis, when he has the armband, he's unstoppable. But when the heel could steal it or he could lose it, managers have been manipulating him to have it on or off. This armband is the straps that you pull up or take down to signify, like, okay, this is the end of the match. We're gonna close things out, and I'm gonna shut you down.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very, very good.
Hell yeah. So now we are going to start playing. The way that Treasure Dungeon, etc., runs is you have 5 quote-unquote rooms. These are the Gatekeeper, the Puzzle, the Trick, the Battle, and the Treasure. And this is loosely based off of John 4's theory of the 5-room dungeon, which you can go find. It's everywhere on the internet. If you search John 4 FOUR 5-room dungeon, you'll get there. And so we are going to start by going through each of the 5 rooms one after the other, and then once we've done all 5, we can pick and choose. The first probably couple of rounds that we go through the 5, it'll be quick. We'll just kind of get montages. In a Royal Rumble, this is like the people coming out who are going to be there for a while. They just need to get...
Yeah.
You need to get bodies in the ring.
Yeah.
Every time that we come back to a room, however, it'll be a little different. We are going to be adding elements to the rooms as we go through, and we're going to have to deal with every element in a room before we can move on to the next one. So you can see as the rounds start to get a little bit longer, the rooms are going to become more and more well-formed, and they're going to be taking up a little bit longer space in the narrative.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So the first room is the Gatekeeper. And every room is going to have all the rules on it. So the first time you enter this room in the dungeon, answer the first question and circle 1 element. Every time you re-enter this room of this dungeon, answer another question, if there are any unanswered questions left, and circle another element, if there are any uncircled elements left. The circled elements must be engaged. So there's no really rules for what engaged means, but I have some questions here. What does that look like? What do we do? How do we feel? Once you have engaged all the circled elements and answered all the questions, look back at the open door behind you. What do you see? So, the first time that we've entered this room of this dungeon, I think you and I are the first 2 that start in the ring. And I think maybe like we get the package, the music that introduces the graphics for the Rumble. This is the main event. We've had 4 or 5 long matches. The crowd has gotten their cool down match in before this one. We've had bathroom breaks. The music hits. The name of the promotion comes up on the screen. Do you have a name?
This is, I'm just going to default to my go-to that this is, I had some, this is an edited podcast.
Yeah.
We're just gonna stick it close to my heart and say that this is Tri-County Wrestling. This is a variation on my go-to promotion of Tri-County Wrestling.
Hell yeah. We get big Tri-County Wrestling, and then the lights go black. You can, like, all the mics cut out except for the crowd mics, so you can hear just the crowd talking and murmuring. Everyone's tentatively excited. Ooh, who's it gonna be? The crowds come back on. You and I are standing in opposite corners of the ring.
I love this. I love this so much. And I think Rana Rojo is doing the Ingobernables like laying across the ropes, so like laying across the two side ropes in the corner spot, one arm resting on a rope, the legs crossed over, and like waving to the crowd a little bit, like and is playing to the crowd. No, like this is for you. I am signaling, like, I am doing this to impress you. You are the person that I am engaging with here. I do not care about who I am in the ring with.
Hell yeah. So that was the questions. Where are we and what does this dungeon look like? I think Ignis is just standing but leaned against the turnbuckles, arms crossed, really slutty necklace. It's got like a hot pink heart over his Adam's apple. And I think even though he's like old and grizzled, he's got like a very hot pink, bright, like undercut. His color is hot pink, and I think he's got like hot pink booty shorts on too. And then the element that I am going to mark here is fog for our first element. And like, I think from the ceiling, Tri-County has pulled out all the stops. Like this is the budget match. They've got like 3 or 4 fog machines kind of duct taped together and hung from the ceiling. And they just all turn on at the same time. And fog just starts, like, once it hits the ring, it billows out. And it doesn't become like a huge, like, sight thing. But it does give it that, like, really big ambiance. And we get like a single spotlight.
Yeah. And the element that I would like to circle clear sight into this dungeon beyond.
Yeah.
I think there is a ticking clock over our heads. They have turned the one projector screen into a ticking clock where you can see anywhere in the ring, anywhere in the building, anywhere in this space, you can always see where or how long until someone else is going to step in this ring.
Yep.
It is inescapable, the knowledge that like in a few moments there is going to be another wrestler.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so then we go to the puzzle. There's going to be some rules that overlap. So the first time we're going to answer the question, we're going to circle an element. Every time we come back, we're going to do another question and another element. Got to always engage the elements. And then in the puzzle room, there's a puzzle to solve in this room. When we first enter the room, we just have to say what the puzzle is. We don't have to say or have a solution in mind. There's no right or wrong way to solve the puzzle. It may not even be a puzzle with a tangible solution or one that you can identify, but we have to solve it before we can leave the room.
Sure.
And so the question
here is what here is not what it appears to be. I have a proposal for this because I also have an element that I would like to circle. This ties into one of my favorite things in wrestling. I think what here is not what it appears to be. You and I spend some time squaring off against each other, and it is a friendly contest. You know, we see me, like, I spend some time, like, kind of lightly outsmarting you and busting out my favorite move in all of wrestling, which is I tap my forehead 3 times, which signals to the audience that I am very smart. I pop every time. It gets me every time somebody's like, hits every time. We also get some moments where you just fully, like, lift me up from the midsection and just sort of like throw me, and I fly halfway across the ring looking as though I've been like shot out of a cannon. And then our third opponent comes out, who is an enigmatic old fool, and who does and I think what is here that does not appear to be. This is this is my favorite, one of the true magic points of wrestling. I mentioned Orange Cassidy earlier, and I think often at his best he fits into this, but there is often a wrestler that you have to figure out how to play to their logic.
Yeah.
Those are those wrestlers where like they exist in a different place. So for the listener, like Orange Cassidy is a wrestler who is very tired and doesn't especially want to be here and is often varying degrees of drunk, high, or otherwise inebriated, but largely is just not particularly interested in being here today.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of like doesn't really like will just sometimes lay down in the ring and then you try to roll and he rolls and then he rolls. And like you have to understand the logic of how to wrestle this person to defeat this person. And I think that is the energy. And I'm going to throw this to you. What is the aesthetic of this wrestler? Like, what is the logic that we are going to have to understand to fight this wrestler on their terms?
I'm going to lean into the enigmatic old fool kind of angle. And I'm going to say that this is like, they've built this wrestler's character around the idea of like the crusty old hermit that lives outside the town or whatever, but in a modern context. So like I feel like he's just a dirty old man, and
Sure.
he's got a bone stuck in his beard, and he wrestles in sandals. Jeff, there's always weird little bits of sand
outlandish.
that fall off of him.
And as he enters the ring, like, you feel that fog. One time, I briefly dabbled in being a referee in wrestling. I've refereed, I think, 3 or 4 matches in my life, and one of them was a hardcore match. And at one moment in this hardcore match, a heel was supposed to run out and hit me with baby powder in the face. The classic, the iconic. The person that was supposed to run out and hit me with baby powder in the face could not find the baby powder, and made a decision that that sensorially informs the rest of that match in my memory. They grabbed what they could. They grabbed the closest thing they could find, which was protein shake powder. So the sense experience that I want to tell you is that like this fog that is around us no longer feels like fog. It now feels like we are covered in sweaty sand, and it is gritty, and it is scratching on the outer surface of our skin as we try to wrestle this old wizard who like is doing a lot of like rolling out of the way, or like a lot of like weird holds, but like we are just feeling dirt and grit, and it is like scraping against our skin as we navigate this match. There is the sense that you have sweat and sand caked on you at various points as we navigate this fight.
Love it. Oh my god, that's very, very physical.
Hey, if you're thinking about taking a mass of protein powder to the face, don't. B, it just makes the rest of it very, very interesting from a sense experience. What's our next room?
Next room.
Or no, you have an element.
Yeah,
circle.
so the element that I'm going to add is fossilized dust.
Sure.
And I think that just plays
that
into it.
Great.
That, like, anytime that we have to do anything that is going to require us to think about stuff, we're always going to have to be dealing with that. Like, it's under my fingernails kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the next room is the trick. So we're going to be fooled. We're betrayed by deed, trap, or luck. We are set back by circumstances none of us could see, and now we must overcome additional obstacles. One of us is harmed by the trick. We must decide who, and the trick happens quickly, but its effects last for much longer than an instant. Whoever is injured may set the terms for their recovery. And the thing that immediately springs to my mind is the like thrown out, but not in a way that eliminates you, as like a kayfabe way of letting a wrestler just take a breather for a second.
Yeah.
So, and I think we kind of work together to fight off this old man. Do we have a name for this enigmatic old fool?
I really like just I like just he's the enigmatic old fool. It's a good wrestling name, and people can chant "Old
Old
Fool,
fool.
Old Fool,
Fool.
Old Fool."
Gosh.
It hits.
It is very good. Okay, so I think he gets a little sand in my eyes, and I roll out of the ring. But when I do, I'm going to activate a rule from myself, which for the muscles self, you can command death. Whenever you declare someone or something will die, they do. You may need to help death along to make this happen. I'm going to use this and say, like, you're going to get that. And then, like, I think in the time that the old fool, like, reacts to that, you set yourself up behind the old fool. And I think when the old fool turns around, you have an opportunity to, like, eliminate him. But I do think that you get injured in the process.
Sure. Yeah, that feels right. That feels right. I think there is a moment where he has pulled out you know what it is? We're busted it. We're going big. He takes out a potion. I have been misted in the eyes. I have taken some mist. I got sticky green mist all over my face and neck, and I have been misted in the eyes.
And then the element that I'm gonna put in is, I think, a curse. I think I'll say I'll get you with that, and we just have that curse of the stuff that we got in our eyes.
Yeah, that feels really good. That feels great. That feels good. I am going to we have another entrant, and this is the grand dame, the grand dame Vic Ciccolini.
Yeah.
This is the grand dame Vic Ciccolini. They emerge, and they do not come alone. And what I'm circling the element, a trap in the ground. Vic Ciccolini, they roll into the ring, full mob boss aesthetic. They are wearing a sleeveless suit vest as their wrestling outfit, and all of their mob goons are now walking around, are interacting with fans, knocking drinks out of people's hands, but are pointedly walking around so that even if you roll outside of the ring, you are going to get beaten down by a bunch of mafia goons, by a bunch of offensive Italian stereotypes,
like a lumberjack match style. Like, they're out there.
Yeah. And there's even a moment where one of us like grabs Vic, throws them out, and like four goons catch them and then effortlessly, like, gently roll them back in the ring.
Love it. Bless.
Which brings us to our next room.
All right, so our next room is the battle. And I just went ahead and shared my screen, which has the Word doc that I've been tracking some of these things in.
Fantastic, yes.
So the battle is straightforward. Something in this room wants to kill you. You are under attack, but you may not need to be violent in this room. The first time you enter this room of the dungeon, answer the first question, circle an element, etc., etc. Something in this room wants to kill you. Give it a name and a weapon. That's it. Good luck. One very important rule that I have intentionally kept hidden. Anytime that you do battle in this dungeon, it ends poorly for you. Period. Everyone else in this dungeon follows that rule the same as you do. So whatever in this room that wants to kill us with a name and a weapon, if it does battle to us, it will end badly for it. If we do battle to it, it will end badly for us. And then the first question is, what unexpected power does your assailant wield?
Okay. I've got it. I've got a wrestler. Who is joining the fray. An element to circle here. This is the Bloody Scourge of Boston, Brooklyn Jones.
Yeah.
And this is specifically I have to look this up very specifically. This is a wrestler who has built his gimmick around very specifically Bill the Butcher from Gangs of New York. Has a top hat. Crucial detail. But is coming out with and obviously gimmicked for safety reasons, but like comes out with a full-on machete.
Yeah.
Like like just really freaks out the crowd because it's like weapons are allowed in a Royal Rumble, and it's just like walking out with a machete. Yep. And so the element that I am circling here is blunt swords. As is just like coming out with this big, terrifying, scary weapon, and the power that our assailant wields is nobody else thought to bring a weapon.
Yeah.
Like this again fundamentally changes the nature of the Rumble, that there is a weapon, a capital W weapon in play now that is terrifying and scary and will draw blood. And has altered the nature of the fight that we are in.
Fuck yes. I'm going to make that text bold. And the element that I'm going to add in here is, with a little bit of content warning for violence and blood, I'm going to add blood as an element.
I like it. I love it.
I think he comes out and like just immediately whacks Ignis on the shoulder with the machete. And obviously, because it's a blunted blade, like it's not going to actually slice him. But I think like the impact of having a lot of force on a very small area does maybe pop the skin a little bit on his shoulder, and he starts bleeding. And the commentators are like, "You guys, we see the crimson shoulder of Ignis as it pours out." And the ref puts on the gloves. But then I think, because whenever you do violence in this dungeon, it always ends bad for you, I think Ignis just clocks this guy in the nose, and the bloody scourge of Boston, Brooklyn Jones, makes it apparent why that is his name. It's not because he makes his opponents bloody, but it's because he enjoys being bloody. Like Jon Moxley. The match hasn't started until the bloody scourge of Boston, Brooklyn Jones starts bleeding.
Yeah, it's immediate, right? Like it is. I mean, like it, but for all intent to the audience outside, it looks like this man's nose has been shattered. Like it is a bloody mess as he is getting reared up in the fight.
And so, just a little context for listeners: I get so squeamish when I see blood that I have to have people drive me to the hospital if I ever need a blood test. Like, I will not be able to drive myself home. That said, deathmatch wrestling is my favorite genre of wrestling. Because when it's done well, it's such an extreme spectacle. And when it's done well, you can tell that the wrestlers are taking care of each other. Not just taking care of themselves, but taking care of each other.
You can feel it. You can feel it immediately.
A good deathmatch match, I'm not worried about them. But there is a shitload of blood, and boy howdy is that metal as hell.
It does rule. It does rule so much. That is such a good way to put it. Yeah. And I think that feels good for this room. Yeah. So I think that brings us to our next room.
The final room of the introductory round is the title shot at the end of the Royal Rumble for the World Heavyweight Championship, given that we will never win the World Heavyweight Championship. And I think this is when we not only get one more entrant, we get three at once. Because this is Major Mama Malcolm and her meaty men. So this is one wrestler, Major Mama Malcolm, but she is always accompanied, Dalton Castle style, by her meaty men. And these are just like the two biggest guys that you have in the back room. They put luchador masks on them and they give them really tight red pants and nothing else. But Major Mama Malcolm is like, she is dominatrix style, but it's not like super sexual. It's like that very tight, like Catwoman, Catwoman style like Playtex outfit, and then she's got like the nice claws. So she heads out, and instead of running straight to the ring, she yells out, "I want to make a proposal!" And the crowd everyone's just silent, and she shouts, "We've got a good group of wrestlers here in this ring. I don't really want to be eliminated by anyone else coming out of this door. Let's say we have a little breather and we discuss strategy." And then she the meaty men carry her into the ring. And the audience goes quiet as there's a little huddle. In reality, everyone's just whispering, "Watermelon, watermelon, etc., etc."
Mm-hmm. Where do you want to get dinner later? Do we want pizza?
But then they break and they're ready for the next wrestler. And the first question for the treasure is, what made you think you could escape from this dungeon? I think the answer is, we think we have friends right now.
Yeah. And the element that I want to circle here is I want to circle gold here, because I think that there is a moment to there is a detail that I'm adding to the scene, which is the championship belt, the world championship belt is visible, is next to the commentary station, and so is visible for the entire match, and at any moment you can look over and see it. It can be used as a weapon, but it is an ever-present reminder of what this is for and what we are trapped in this moment for.
Yeah. And I think the element that I'm adding is hope. It just kind of seems self-explanatory.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we've gone through all 5 rooms already. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think we got at least one more round of 5 rooms in us, and then we might leave it at
that. So then I am going to choose, and this is something important. Now, after we've gone through the 5 rooms, anytime we open a room, we're gonna die, which sucks. The Muscle has some rules that play with the death. The Thief, I think, also has some rules that play with death. Yeah.
I do.
Who wants to open the first door knowing that they will die?
I would love to open the first door and die. And specifically, I would like to invoke one of my horrendously complicated rules that are on the Thief's sheet that I will explain to the listeners at home when the game is over. I have some horrendously complicated rules that and one of them is tell me what room we're going into.
Yes. We are going to be going back into the gatekeeper. So I know that we can choose any. With this moment of a breath, I kind of want to get back into the gatekeeper as a way of saying we're going back into this next round. This is the second act.
Yeah.
Of whatever story.
Sure. And I think so I have a rule that says when you die entering into a room, you can leave a reminder that protects your other fighters in that room from dying. Yeah. Basically, you steal the concept of death from this room when you enter into a room and die. And I think what that looks like is it looks like a moment of betrayal.
Ooh.
I open the door, I die, and I die doing a very real thing that happened in a Royal Rumble that I love with all of my heart, which is the time that I believe it was Mil Mascaras eliminated himself because he did a lucha dive over the top rope. And I think that in a moment of betrayal of the people that we have had this strategy session with, the realization that we are not friends. I am friends with one person in this ring, and it's Ignis. You lot I am not friends with. I am throwing myself over the ropes into all of Vic Ciccolini's mob goons and just barreling them over. And it is unclear if
Rana Roja has like landed on the floor with both feet touching the floor or not, but it is just a mass of bodies that I collide with outside of the ring.
So I am going to make that clear. And I think we watch the group fall down. They run into the barricades outside the ring. And as the announcers are like screaming, like, did the legs touch? Oh, we don't know. Is Roja eliminated? The camera zooms out and you can see Ignis leaning out of the ring with his legs like crossed and wrapped around one of the ring posts. One of my rules is I can use my strength to help the group overcome an element. We don't need to deal with you dying because I am so strong. And my back muscles are just like holding me extremely horizontal, and I'm physically holding your feet up above the ground. And the cameraman on the ground gets like great. Really up close, and you can see like the ref measuring the distance and like sliding a little business card underneath your feet.
That's really great. And sure enough, to my rule, like I have stolen the concept of death from this room. So no other fighter in this room, at least until we re-enter it next time, can face the concept of death.
Yeah. And so when we get back to the Gatekeeper, we get Tri-County Wrestling. I think we get the logo on the ring. Like we get an overhead camera showing Tri-County Wrestling. And then our two elements from last time were fog and clear sight into the dungeon beyond. So I just want to maybe like remind the listener of these fog machines pouring fog down. We've got these giant digital clocks counting down, and I think we get like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the next wrestler comes out, and this is a test of worth. This is the wrestler who is capitalism gimmicked.
Sure.
We get like the cha-ching, and like dollar signs on every vision, or not vision board. What am I talking about? Television screen. Oh gosh, I gotta find a money name. Let's call him Capitalism Kyle comes out. He's in his young 20s.
Kyle.
And Kyle is spelled with a C because he's a Gen Zer.
Sure.
So Capitalism Kyle runs down to the ring in his 3-piece suit, shedding fake dollar bills. And that is an element that we have to deal with.
I would love to answer a question here. This entrance smells like copper.
Ooh.
It smells like the smell of pennies is overwhelming and like mildly sickening.
Mm-hmm.
Like that hot penny smell is pungent in the air at this moment. Like the smell of money, of capitalism is inescapable as Capitalism Kyle slides into the ring.
And I think his manager, Hot Penny, is like running down. She's not running down to the ring, but she's walking.
Yeah. That feels great. I like this so much. And I think I am going to circle a soft moment to reassure friends, because I think there is a moment where you have where there is a moment where like we are unsure of what Capitalism Kyle is going to do. Capitalism Kyle busts out his signature move, which is a Superman punch, but like has a ball of $100 bills held in his hand so that when he punches, he can release it, and like an explosion of money flies out of his hand. And but I think there's a moment where like the people that were in the ring in that first round do just gang up on Capitalism Kyle and pummel him relentlessly in one of those peak like scumbag heel enters the ring, looks around, everybody is standing, and just a 5-person beatdown occurs.
So we have a jobber at in my local wrestling whose name is Officer Rob Justice, and his gimmick is that he is a police officer. And not to get unfortunately a little real, I bet you could tell in the Twin Cities how that plays. But But
Sure.
the great thing about that is unanimously, anytime this dude is in the ring, everyone else in the ring just beats the shit out of him.
That rules. That
And
does rule.
you get great ACAB chants from the crowd. Like, there's nothing like seeing a heel that everyone can get behind beating the shit out of.
Yeah, it is a real cathartic
It's how you
experience.
reinforce societal values.
There's some power to it. A thunderous power.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so I also realized since this is a Rumble, we should probably start eliminating people. So I've started building a list of who all is in the ring. We've got Ronda, Ignis, the enigmatic old fool, the Grand Dame Vic Ciccolini, the Bloody Scourge of Boston, Brooklyn Jones, Major Mama Malcolm, and both her meaty men, and now Capitalism Kyle.
Now, I think the old fool has already been eliminated. I believe the old fool was eliminated after he spit mist in our eyes. We did throw him over the rope.
Nice.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and say I think Capitalism Kyle gets eliminated here, just as like a good only in the Rumble for a minute, like, and a good everybody beats the shit out of this guy and then dumps him. Both very good Rumble moments.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm going to add him and Enigmatic Old Fool to the list of eliminated.
That feels great. That feels really good.
Did I pick an element?
I don't remember. Go ahead and pick one.
I'm going to pick... Oh, no, I did. It was a test of worth, because that's where Capitalism Kyle came from.
Yes. Got it.
All right. So then we get to go to our next room. Do you want to pick one?
Yeah. Let's go to... So remind me, are we going to the puzzle, or am I picking any of the other rooms?
You can pick any of the other rooms to go to. I just have this list so that we can remember anytime we come back to a room what's there.
Got it. I would love to head to the trick room.
We're betrayed by deed, trap, or luck. We're set back by circumstances. One of us is harmed. We've already got the cursed stuff in our eyes. So I think maybe we get like a close-up of like people just rubbing sand off of them, or like the scratches they're starting to get a little red. And then the mafia goons who I think are injured and just kind of like groaning outside.
Yeah, I really like this. And the betrayal is we all eliminate Capitalism Kyle.
Yeah.
I am going to and actually this is a very real question. Which of the two of us die as we enter into this room? Because that will tell me who is affected by the betrayal.
Oh, I think Ignis dies. I think, yeah. Because there's something that I'm excited to get to about the muscle when the muscle dies.
That feels cool. Okay. Then I think the betrayal is a great Rumble moment. We've all eliminated Capitalism Kyle. He is throwing a fit in a way that I want. Here's what I'm going to propose for Capitalism Kyle, which is a separate thing. I think we might not see this, because I think that we are going to end with this Rumble in motion after this round of rooms. Yeah. But I think Capitalism Kyle is going to buy his way back into the Rumble.
Ooh, yes.
Just hand a referee a stack of bills and then just slide in like nothing has happened.
Yep. And I think we get the commentators going, is that legal? Can he do that? We got to pull out the book of bylaws. Stand by here, crowd, as we deliberate over. And maybe the promotion owner has to run down to the commentary desk, and Capitalism Kyle hands her a big stack of like hundreds, and she just gives a big thumbs up to the crowd and walks back.
Yeah, great moment. The betrayal here, by Deed, Trapper, Luck. We've eliminated Capitalism Kyle over the top rope, a moment of celebration, and then the meaty men immediately go to eliminate Ignis.
Yeah.
Like, it is just grab you by the ankles and flip.
And Ignis is out over the top rope. Both feet touch. I think Ignis. Ignis is both feet on the ground. So instead, anytime that the muscle would die, I get to cross out a rule that I've previously followed. When this is the only rule left, and we're just gonna speed run this, we're gonna pretend like this is the only rule left. You meet your gruesome end. A new muscle joins the rest of the selves. pick a new look, weapon, power source, etc. Refresh all the moves that you've previously crossed out. This is not Ignis Vern. This is Connor Vern. Completely unrelated
no.
outside of kayfabe, but inside of kayfabe, Connor Vern is Ignis Vern's long-lost son.
Incredible.
And I think that this is this is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of talent, like high school all-state wrestler, signed the moment that he turned 18 with Tri-County Wrestling. This is the hottest thing. He still has a way to go. Like, he's still rough around the edges and needs some work on the mic, needs some work in the ring. That's why they've teamed him up with Ignis Vern. But Connor comes running out and just, like, yelling, screaming bloody murder, and just spears both the meaty men through the middle ropes outside of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And then
ripped.
just for, like,
Rules.
the next room is just, like, doing the scramble beating on them.
That's incredible. That rips. I would love to. I'm gonna look at our outline or our elements here. I think. Okay, I know the element that I want to circle, and also I want to tap one of my horrendously complicated rules. I am circling a knife in the back.
Ooh.
And specifically, I have been stabbed in the back, kind of literally, literally and figuratively, by the Bloody Scourge of Boston, Brooklyn Jones. Does the kind of Sting baseball bat, holds both sides of the machete and jams it into my back, does a twist so that, like, it cuts the tip cuts my back just enough that blood is now pouring out. And then, like, it tries to eliminate me, but I'm invoking one of my rules, which is, when someone uses a weapon upon you, they are killed instead.
Yeah, I love that one.
And therefore, like, the thief cannot be killed by weapon alone. So basically what happens here is does this, I think, like, stumbles forward, leans on the middle rope. Brooklyn kind of, like, walks up, grabs the top of the mask, and then in a classic lucha move, just, like, drops down small package over the top rope, pulls the top rope down to make it a little easier, stands up, hits him with the three claps, dusts the hand, and the Bloody Scourge of Boston has been eliminated.
Beautiful.
Which brings us to the next. No, wait, you got to circle an element.
I am going to circle the element time tending to wounds, because I think after that there is a breather moment, and Connor runs over to Ignis on the ground after, the meaty men are left unmoving, kind of looks up, and Ignis pats Connor on the back and gives him a little shove towards the ring and points towards Rojo and says, "Follow the red frog," and then has to, like, roll out and walk backstage.
Yeah, okay.
And
great.
I think the last room that I want to take as we kind of maybe look towards the ending of this session is the battle. I want to eliminate the rest of these people.
That feels good. That feels great. I'm into this.
Because then I think that is a perfect little arc close that gets Ronda Rojo and Connor Vern set up for Act 3, which, listeners, you can imagine.
Yeah, that feels good. Okay, then we enter into this room, and Ronda Rojo dies. I think that what happens here is, remind me, who is left? Who do we got left in the ring? It's the Grand Dame.
Yeah, Grand Dame, Ronda, Major Mama Malcolm, and I think, let's say that the meaty men were thrown out as Connor and Ronda team up.
That feels great.
Yeah.
So I think that what happens is as Ronda Rojo is, like, flexing and walking around, the Grand Dame takes off their gold necklace, their chain, chokes him out, is choking Ronda Rojo out, and then dumps him over the side, and both feet hit the ground, flops, eliminated.
Devastating.
as Connor is rushing, Ronda Rojo is out, which now I reveal what the actual rules of the thief are, which are rule 1, there are no rules to thievery, but don't let anyone else know. Rule 2, they all think it's horrendously complicated and it would be a shame to let them down. And when you pretend to use a rule, write whatever deed you've done in one of the empty spaces below. The rest of the sheet is blank. And thus, when I die, I erase all of these rules and I start my exploits anew. I am also entering as a new wrestler. This is El Hijo de Rana Rojo. This is Rana Rojo's literal son outside of kayfabe. This is, and so has entered, and we get a real moment of Connor and El Hijo de Rojo standing back to back, fists up in a our dads have told us to fight, so I guess we're on a team together now.
Oh my god. And you know that this is just setting these two up. This is the first time that they are going to tag together, and they will become the tag champs in a year and a half.
Yeah.
Oh man. And yeah, I think it's just effortless for us to eliminate the rest of the folks. Jumping Huracan Ranas.
Just fired up, yeah.
Beautiful submissions. This is a montage of talent. And then
this feels really great.
So that, I think, goes to our question, and then choose some elements as we close out.
I think victory is the natural one to circle here, of just this is a moment of raw power. This is a moment where we are unbeatable when we are faced together.
Yeah. And the element that I'm going to choose is a desperate leap, because Connor has never done any high flying before in kayfabe. And I think El Hijo gets Major Mama Malcolm kind of in a pin, not necessarily a pin, but a submission, and gestures to Connor to get up on the ropes and kind of mimes through some of the stages to set up a moonsault that gets them a combo to eliminate Major Mama Malcolm.
That feels incredible. That feels very good. I think there is a moment where Capitalism Kyle re-enters the ring, and I think hands a third and final stack of bills to the Grand Dame to higher protection, because naturally. But I think that the two of them, as they are, there's a negotiation where Grand Dame starts counting the money, and it realizes that it's a little bit short, and they get into a fight, and we're able to exploit that and just dump the both of them a second time over the ring.
And we get that zoom out from the cameraman, empty ring, two wrestlers, Connor Verne, El Hijo de Ronda Rojo, the Red Frog, and then the cut to the timer as it counts down 3, 2, 1, 0. The lights go out and the crowd gasps. And I think that's game.
Fuck. Yes. Good. Yes. Oh, I'm so fired up. That was something special.
Yeah. This game works.
Oh, the game works. The game works. The game hits. The vibe is immaculate. This episode was truly something special. I feel pretty excited about this. Taylor, thank you so much for this. Taylor, what was your favorite moment from play? Oh my god,
my favorite moment from play was that nobody else thought to bring a weapon. The way that you described, just that realization, that creeping dread is, I could hear Taz yelling that, oh my god, no one else thought.
I'm so glad that moment comes across, because having seen that in Royal Rumbles, that's the thought that I have, and the thrill of that moment is unfucking matched.
It's all legal in a Rumble.
It's all legal. Fuck.
Beautiful. How about you?
My favorite moment was genuinely you describing the experience of seeing Brooklyn Jones bleed, and of and of like capturing the joy of seeing blood in like a safely contained wrestling. Like as a fellow lover of when it gets
Yeah.
bloody and nasty, like I feel like you hit something, you put it so perfectly that like I was just sitting here nodding going, fuck yeah, yes, correct, yep, that's it, that's it right there.
Hell yeah. Just
Absolute
one
magic.
last thing. Before my first ever deathmatch wrestling event, you told me a couple pieces of advice that are like so perfect. And they let me enjoy that match so well, which was wear closed-toed shoes and a mask, which are good pieces of advice just kind of in general in COVID. But I was not ready for the amount of spray and detritus.
Well, and it's funny because the reason that Jen and I had well-fitted medical high-grade masks that we were like ready for was because we had gone to a lot of deathmatch wrestling shows, and we learned it because we saw somebody else at a wrestling show one day. It was a woman standing in front of us. They announced it was I'm almost certain it was Survival of the Sickest, which is a great wrestling name, great wrestling show name. They announced one of these matches, and we saw this woman just like open her purse, pull out a medical mask, and put it on. Like, okay, yeah. And I'm just like, that's it. I was like, oh, we could just be doing that. We could just do that. Like the closed-toed shoes of like not getting broken glass in your shoes. And then I remember the other piece of advice that I think that I give anyone that like is going to see a death match for the first time: finish your drink before the death match starts, or bring either like a bottle with like a closable lid, or like a sippy cup type arrangement, something where you can like close and open the cup, or like a can that you can cover. Like, don't like avoid an open cup when the match starts, because I will always remember the death match where I was watching it near someone and they were holding a glass of beer and a chunk, like not even a shot, a chunk of glass splashed right in their beer, and they looked at it and just went, oh man. Like it's truly great, just good advice and there is a visceral sort of joy, aside from, like you said, like that is very good advice. You should already be wearing a mask at events in COVID, but like the joy of pre-COVID, the joy of watching a death match and putting on the mask, and like I have friends that like have put on like goggles, and like the joy of like getting the fuck ready is like it adds to the thrill of it, right? It's like I am doing the things that I need to do because I know how this is going to get, and I am like gearing up for it. Like it builds that anticipation, and it fucking
You've never seen people take care of each other like you will at a deathmatch show, because not even like the wrestlers doing this, not even like people taking precautions to like cover their faces or their feet, but like you will see smaller people being protected by larger people. Like if there is something that looks kind of dangerous, like I'm 6'4" and I will stand in front of someone if there's like a table coming out, but like still let them see and everything. And like the way that the crowd moves with the wrestlers as they move across the space, if you can also see a no ring show, it's the same kind of thing. Like the crowd moves the same way that starlings move. It is a murmuration of violence that is unparalleled and unmatched. You will never see it anywhere else.
The silliest and also maybe most beautiful iteration of the crowd moving like starlings that I've ever seen is a wrestling match that I will put in the show notes, and I encourage you to go watch it. Is a wrestling match that I was present for in the building, and I will treasure this moment for the rest of my life, which is of course the Invisible Man versus the Invisible Stan.
Beautiful, yes.
watching the crowd move to that match, especially when Invisible Stan is thrown off of the second floor balcony and the crowd falls over as though they have caught this invisible man. It is the best illustration of the power of the audience in wrestling that has ever been captured on film. Very, very pointedly. Taylor, thank you so much for playing this with me. I'm fucking stoked. This is an energizing moment that I'm going to carry through the rest of my day.
Jeff. Thank you for having me on here. I'm going to go watch Fear the Gay Agenda, which is maybe my favorite piece of queer art ever made.
I love this so much. Where can people find the game online?
You can find the game online at riverhousegames.itch.io.
Fantastic. Thank you again for joining me. This was a fucking experience. And now I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show.
Take it, future me.
Thanks, Taylor. And thanks, past me. That game fucked. I don't really have anything else to say, but there's no other word to describe how I felt about that game. That game just fucked. That is how I would describe the experience that we had. And I'm so grateful that we got to play it. It was so cool. I'm still over the moon about it. Be sure to check the show notes for more information about There Is a Treasure at the End of this dungeon and We Will Never Escape This Dungeon. And be sure to follow Taylor on Twitter at Leviathan Files.